Plum Blossom Pincushion. First, here are the materials that you will need. For each piece of crepe listed, cut out the entire section of that color from the provided material. 3 types of crepe: red, white, and green. Some fusible interfacing, a full-sized pattern, some cardboard, 2 types of braided cord, green and yellow, some fiberfill stuffing, some sewing thread. Use thread in a color that will match the other materials. First, use scissors to cut around the outline of each of the full-sized patterns. Attach the fusible interfacing to the back of the red, white, and green crepe. The rough side of the fusible interfacing has the glue on it. Place that side against the crepe and iron it on. Whenever you are instructed to use an iron, it should always be on a medium heat setting. Use a patchwork board when ironing or copying the patterns. The side with fabric over it is for ironing. The rough side is for copying the patterns. The fabric will be held in place, making the patterns easy to copy. Use a pencil to copy pattern A 5 times onto the back of the fusible interfacing backed red crepe. Then cut each out, leaving a 1/4 inch seam allowance around them for sewing. Use a pencil to copy pattern B 5 times onto the back of the fusible interfacing backed white crepe. Then cut each out, leaving a 1/4 inch seam allowance around them for sewing. Copy pattern A onto the fusible interfacing backed green crepe and then cut it out, leaving a 1/2 inch seam allowance around it for sewing. Copy pattern A and B onto the cardboard. Cut them out without leaving any seam allowance for sewing. You have now cut all of the required materials. Now let's make the red flower. Get the 5-piece A's ready. Sew the 5 pieces like this. Place 2 pieces face to face and use a back stitch to sew one edge together. The 2 pieces are now joined together. Next, place the joined second piece and a third piece face to face and use a back stitch to sew one edge together. Sew the 4th piece in the same way. Edges must be sewn for the 5th piece. First, sew one of them. Do not cut the thread. Continue on and sew the second side. The red flower is complete. Next, let's make the white parts around the flower. Get the 5-piece bees ready. The piece bees are sewn around the red flower. Do not cut the thread, but continue on and sew all 5 pieces. Place the right angle corner of piece B along one edge of piece A with the material face to face, and use a backstitch to sew them together. Continue to sew the next edge. One piece B has now been attached. Where 2 pieces meet, a knot should be tied, but do not cut the thread. Instead, continue on, avoiding the seam allowance, and sewing on the second piece B in the same manner. Two piece Bs have now been attached. Repeat this process and attach all 5 pieces. Now 5-piece Bs have been attached. Place the fabric face down and iron each seam allowance to one side. The white parts around the flower are complete. Next, let's stuff the pincushion with the fiberfill stuffing. Prepare the stuffing. Using a double strand thread, sew a running stitch all the way around the white parts of the flower. Use a long piece of thread. Now you've sewn the whole way around. Don't cut the thread and leave it sticking out of the front side of the fabric. Stuff with fiberfill. Pack it in tightly. Place cardboard B inside. Align the shape of the cardboard with the curves of the flower. Pull the thread from the running stitch tight and tie a knot. Do not cut the thread. Use a technique called lacing to secure the cardboard B in place. With a long double strand thread, stitch through the seam allowances of the white fabric in a crisscross pattern. Make sure you stitch through each point where the fabric meets the base. The lacing is complete. Next, we will add dimples to the flower. Poke a double-threaded needle through the center point of the cardboard and out through the middle of the flower. Poke the needle back down through the top, just next to where the thread first emerged, and out through the cardboard base. Pull the thread tight, then tie a knot and cut the thread. Next, poke a double-threaded needle through the cardboard and out the corner of the red crepe piece A, and pull the thread like you did for the flower's center. Repeat for the remaining 4 locations on piece A, forming dimples on the surface. The knots on the bottom should be secured in place using glue. The fiberfill stuffing is complete. Next, let's make the base. Prepare cardboard A and the base fabric. Clip the seam allowance all around the base fabric. Apply glue to cardboard A and attach it to the back of the base fabric. Place glue around the top of the cardboard base and press the seam allowance onto it. You can use an iron to dry the glue faster. Apply glue to the entire base of the pincushion and align with the cardboard base. The base is complete. Let's attach the braided cord. Prepare the braided cord and the pincushion. Use a skewer or a similar tool to apply glue around the pincushion where it meets the base. Put the braided cord onto the areas you have applied glue to. Attach all the way around the pincushion. Glue the 2 ends of the braided cord together and cut away any excess. The braided cord is finished. Let's make the center of the flower. Use the yellow braided cord. Cut a 1/2-inch piece. Use the point of a needle to unthread about 1/8 of an inch of the braided cord at one end. Apply a little water to the unthreaded part and stretch it out. Apply a little glue to the braid, then use a skewer or similar tool to open a small gap in the center of the flower. Then push the braid inside. The center of the flower is complete. This completes the pincushion.